is politically active, technology-loving, and really good at being black. So good at it that Baratunde Thurston wrote a recent New York Times bestseller, How to Be Black. He also co-founded the political blog Jack and Jill Politics and is the digital director at The Onion. Please welcome a great friend and talented man, Baratunde.
Hello, Shira. Hello.
Well,
we're in Europe now.
We're in Europe now. You brought me some presents.
Yes, I brought you both editions. There are two editions of How to Be Black. We have the black version with white on black and the white version with black on white. You don't have to choose, you get both.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Most people don't get
so
that offer. I make them buy both of them.
All right, let's start off with politics. You're very passionate about that. So what do you think of the 2012 race so far?
It's amazing. It's the best reality TV programming we've had in a while. We've got the Anybody But Mitt Brigade still very active in denying that they're gonna be married to this guy. And they're saying, no, anybody else. It's like repeat bachelor parties for the Republican Party, just trying to keep avoiding their fate. And so it's kind of fun to watch them narrow themselves and their appeal to the nation by getting more and more extreme with each round of primaries.
Yeah, and now politics and comedy seem to be working together hand in hand. You know, between The Daily Show, obviously, The Onion. Does that help or hurt the process?
Well, when you say process,
the political process.
Oh, the political process?
Well, and then
Terrible.
how we engage with the stories and the candidates.
Well, I think when the politics becomes so absurd that it's hard to create the comedy, that's probably bad for the political process, maybe a little bit of a favor to the comedy process. So as a citizen, it hurts a little bit. As a comedian, some of these things can be seen as favors.
And we actually get informed by it when you bring in some humor.
Well, I mean, the humor helps make it accessible. You know, people really generally don't want to hear a big lecture about, you know, this policy point and that policy point. We already have a lack of trust between the public and our media institutions, often, certainly with our politicians. So if a comedian can say something in a slightly more accessible way, more people often listen. All
right, let's talk about why you're really here.
Yeah.
Besides giving us a lot of smart insight about everything.
It's the last day of Black History Month, Shira.
Thank you.
We have to commemorate this moment.
Oh my God, well, it's leap year as well.
So we can leap into blackness.
How to Be Black is your book.
Yeah.
I'll show these two, the white one or the black edition, whatever you like.
We should swap. There we go.
Thank you.
This is
better. You released the book the first day of Black History Month.
Yeah, actually, it was the last day of not Black History Month. It came out January 31st. And, but it hit all the shelves on February 1st, so kind of wanted to launch it and ride that wave of, you know, every year people want to buy like one black object during Black History Month. You know the tradition. And so I wanted to make sure that this year this was filling that black stocking.
Now the title obviously speaks for itself, but what is the book about? So
the book, people should understand, it's a memoir mostly. It's a comedic memoir. It chronicles what I call my coming of blackness story. Having grown up in DC under some stereotypical conditions with a single mother and relatively hood-ish conditions, but also having some non-standard and non-stereotypical stories of her Afrocentric politics and access to crazy elite schools like Sidwell Friends School, where the Obama girls go, and Harvard University. So having that story, I then peppered it with these lessons: how to be the black friend, which I learned from private school; how to be the black employee, which I learned from my stint in corporate America; how to speak for all black people, which I learned from being black.
So what can someone like me learn from this book?
Well, so I think that people should understand you're not going to become black if you read the book.
Oh,
I know a lot of people had hopes. I hear your audience is very upset by that. And so I just want people to understand it's not a genetic modification program. That takes a lot more science than can be conveyed through paperback and hardback. But you will get a little blacker. And what that means
is me saying holla isn't good enough?
You have so much more to go, Shira. So much more to go. You definitely should read this book. But it also, I wanted to connect people to a story, to a comedic story. Race can be a really awkward conversation. And people are afraid of being too offensive or too offended. And so through comedy, we can kind of lower the temperature a bit. Through a personal story, I found people connecting to me who are not black. And that's part of the point. The book really could be called How to Be, because there's this element of being yourself, being confident in who you are, and how the world is learning more, I think, to accept who we actually are versus who it expects us or tells us we should be.
I love that whole concept.
Thank you.
I know you interviewed a lot of people also along the way.
Yeah, I assembled a black panel. These were experts, people who had been black their entire lives. And so I got 3 black women, both comedic voices: Cheryl Conti, who's my co-founder at Jack and Jill Politics; Damali Ayo, who lives right here in LA; Jaquetta Zatmari, who grew up in rural Eastern Shore, Maryland; and then Derek Ashong on the male side, who I know you've had on before. And W. Kamau Bell, Elon James White, and one white person. I interviewed the whitest white person I could find, who was Christian Lander, who created Stuff White People Like.
Yes.
And so I wanted to ask a white Canadian what he thought about black people. And he had a lot of really smart things to say. Christian is not only funny, but he kind of knows what he's doing. And it was really great to ask him. You know, I asked him, when did you first realize you were black? I asked him when he first realized he was white. And growing up in a Toronto neighborhood, largely surrounded by Asian people and Caribbean people, and kind of being obsessed with Asian culture, he said people called him Guaylo, which is white ghost, or they called him egg, white on the outside, yellow on the inside.
These are things I guess you think about, but you don't talk about it publicly. Really.
And
so, I've known you for a few years, and we're great friends, but this isn't something necessarily we've talked about. I mean, I learned a lot about you and your story, your family history through this book, which was pretty amazing, and things that are pretty hard to talk about, like your father.
Yeah, no, I hadn't really spoken much about my father, hadn't been part of my stand-up, hadn't been a part of my blog post before, but about his murder. I was very young when he was killed. He was a drug user. And so I was raised by my mother, which everyone knew, but they didn't really know what the story of my father was. And so in this book, I finally kind of tell that story. And still, even in that story, find a way to add some dark humor to it. And my frustration with his murder, besides the fact of it, I was very young, so I didn't have a huge emotional attachment to the specific dude. So the idea of him missing hurt me. But it was also like he died in drug-related gun violence, which is the most stereotypical possible way. So even that shadow being cast, like why couldn't he have been playing polo in the Hamptons and get trampled by a horse named Commander Tabasco? That would have been more interesting.
Well, I'm happy you find humor in everything.
You got to.
And now, why was this book relevant to release right now?
Well, we are in a fun and often awkward period. We have a biracial / black president, depending on who's simplifying his identity at the moment. We're in a post-civil rights movement where people like me, our whole generation, is raised by the parents who did all this fighting and asking what's next. And we have, I think we can add more dimension to our identities. We can broaden the ideas of blackness and the ideas of who we are and project that more powerfully, in part because of shows like this, because of social media that allows us to kind of project more of who we really are as opposed to who we're expected to be.
Well, and speaking of social media, you've created a term called Franscrollo.
Franscrollo,
Why should people be using that term?
People can do what they want to do. It's a free country, mostly. But Franscrollo was born out of my frustration with subscribe to me on this, follow me here, like me here, fan me, follow me. So I just created this term, Franscrollo, which is a combination of friend, subscribe, add, and follow in one word to rule them all. It's like the ring in Lord of the Rings for social media attachment.
Oh my God. And you became Foursquare Mayor of the Year too.
I did.
How does that happen?
Well,
is that because you're just so digitally savvy?
It's because
I'm savvy. I didn't get that title.
Because I mayor hard, Shira. Okay? I make mayor a verb. And I was crowned, I guess it's crowned Mayor of the Year for the year 2010. It was born out of a campaign. So my friend Jennifer Magnolfi and I were competing for mayorship of Delicatessen in Soho in New York. And we decided to take it out of the realm of Foursquare and into the realm of real politics. So we turned it into an actual campaign.
See, you should just consult the real candidates to do these things.
Bloomberg's trying to be blowing up my phone ever since that Mayor of the Year campaign. So maybe I'll give him some time. I'm a very busy Foursquare mayor, though. Well,
it is so great to have you here. I'm so proud of you, really. And it's been so great to see, one, you publishing the book, becoming a New York Times bestseller.
I know.
I know, a New York Times bestseller. Then also, you've been doing, really cool things also to get it out there digitally. So you have your site, howtobeblack.com.
Howtobeblack.me. Because everybody can see themselves in it.
And you have your own little group promoting it?
Yeah, we built a virtual street team of over 100 people to tell the story. In the enhanced version of the book, all the interviews I did are in video, and the audio I do myself. So it's kind of a performance piece.
And hashtag HowToBeBlack, use it.
Yeah, I will check it and try to be in touch with you.
And this is the way to market a book in the digital age and make it happen and get it seen and make it big.
Yeah.
So I'll be seeing you at South by Southwest.
Of course, I'm going to be there for a full week, and we'll be in the Samsung Lounge together. And also, just as you know, I'm proud of you too. This is beautiful. The floors are polished, the lights are on. This is a really
thank you.
The set is actually quite lovely, and it feels like super professional and amazing.
Well,
I'm not shocked, but I'm happy.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that I've raised the bar for you.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be like, oh my God, look at you have lights. That's amazing. Way to go,
It's not the Daily Show, but it will do. All right, keep up with Baratunde Thurston online at baratunde.com.